Ladies and gentlemen, it is Sunday night, and that means it is time for another weekly episode of the Four Wide Salute podcast. Once again, I am your host, Casey, back in action. Boy, what a filled, eventful weekend in the world of racing across the country, especially in the dirt form, of course. But, not as many tracks open and running at this current moment, whether seasons haven't started or due to COVID reasons, there certainly has been some very eventful things going on. And let's start with Friday. So, as the World of Outlaws went through a huge problem with their Arizona and California dates being canceled due to COVID reasoning, no fans allowed reasoning, whatever the case may be. And it was going to be a huge amount of time they were going to be off. But they picked back up, went back to Volusia, where they started the season, and that's where they were on Friday night. I think that the show itself took way longer than it needed to, just my opinion. The track was super wet, and they had to run it in a lot more than I would think you normally have to. For 24 sprint cars and 12 ump mods, the show ran like 4 hours. But at the end of it, they did get a race in. No weather played a factor. Hey, we got a race in. Macedo started 10th and picked his way up towards the front. And Hafertepe took off. Hafertepe was leading for quite some time. And I don't know if it was his lunch break or he dozed off at the wheel, but Macedo caught him with his pants down. And Macedo just drove away from Hafertepe. So Macedo got the win from 10th. Hafertepe ended up second, and Gio Scelzi picked up the podium there in third. The Outlaw late models were supposed to be at Duck River. They canceled earlier in the week due to saturated grounds and anticipation of more bad weather or cold weather. So, again, if they're going to cancel and they canceled super early, that makes it convenient for people that were traveling in town to spectate. So no issue there on my end. The Kings of Thunder 360s had I believe it was the I-5 Classic at Kern County out in California. And Dominic Scelzi, Gio's brother, took home the win over Shane Golobic and Tim Kading. And I believe DJ Neto was 4th, and 5th went to Rico in the 57 car. Moving on to Saturday, I finally got out to a racetrack this year. Finally. I said, screw it, I don't care how cold it is. We're going to Lincoln, which made my wife super happy. She loves her wingdings. The parking lot was still muddy from the week prior. Apparently, from what I was being told, not as bad as it was, of course, the week before, but it was still on the muddy side. The place was definitely not packed as bad as it was for the Icebreaker, which is to be expected. Icebreaker always draws a crowd. It was fucking cold. I'm going to be honest. It was absolutely cold. But, 3-4 layers on, and we made it happen. Track was super heavy, which it usually is at Lincoln to kick off the season. The sunlight is there. We had it a little bit in the afternoon, but it wasn't out all day. But that being said, being that the track was super heavy and not a whole lot of passing, Tim Schaefer did start in the second row and did move his way up to the front, taking home the win. He caught Hunter Schoenberg actually came in town for the weekend. He was going to run, I believe, Port as well on Sunday. Port did cancel a couple of days prior due to the cold temperatures. So Schoenberg was in town at Lincoln, and he led pretty much the whole race till about 3 or 4 to go. Schaefer caught him and drove away from him. And Billy Dietrich finished out the podium there in third. Hats off to Billy. Good to see him get a podium. But yeah, back to Port Royal. I give them credit. They did their research, at least from what they stated. They reached out to drivers, car owners, and even the manufacturers. And that's pretty key point there, I think. So to reach out to your engine builders and discuss with them what it's a half-mile track. It's a big track. It's not the size of a Lincoln. It's a huge track, and they pick up so much speed, and wind is a huge factor, and the air and those temperatures being so cold as it was, and with those speeds, they pulled the plug, which I have no issue with. It's a reasonable decision. It made sense, and they had originally were going to move some things around from what I understand, but they ended up pulling the plug, and they're going to go back at it again next Saturday night, or next Saturday afternoon, I think, to get their season started. So no issue there. The Outlaws went to East Bay Raceway Park on Saturday night, and they have not been there in 38 years, which I find fascinating. As much of the love I have for East Bay, I've only been there twice, but I think it's a badass racetrack. So Outlaws went back there for the first time in 38 years, again on their restructured schedule. And what an exciting race I think this came out to be. Aaron Reutzel was fast out of the gate in qualifying. Fell down a little bit as the cars got faster later on in the qualifying session, but he ended up starting towards the front. And for any of you who know how East Bay sits, it is a very wide track in the turns, very, very wide. When the late models are there for Winter Nationals, they're spread out all over the place. There was a lip probably right through the middle of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So this could have very easily been a one-lane, tight run bottom type race. But Reutzel, and the only one from what we could see on Dirt Vision, decided to run on top of the cushion. He ran over it. And nobody else did from what we could see. I think PPM may have tried a little bit here and there, but they, Reutzel led the whole way, and they kept the camera on him, but he was going up and over the cushion, not bouncing off of it. He was going to the next zip code over it, which was fascinating, and ran a hell of a race and held the lead over Brad Sweet, and Carson Macedo picked up the podium. Now Macedo, Friday night starting 10th, picking up the win, advancing 9 spots. Pretty impressive, right? Saturday started, I believe, 18th and up to 3rd. So 9 spots Friday, 15 spots on Saturday. That's a hell of a night, a hell of a weekend, to say the least. Let's move on over to the Outlaw late models, the Morton Buildings World of Outlaws late models Tennessee tip-off on Saturday night at Smoky Mountain. Chris Madden was a missile. He led his heat race by a whole straightaway. Nobody was even close to him, and he led the entire feature wire to wire. Mike Marlar and Jonathan Davenport were definitely on his tail, and they were trying to, any which way possible, throw things at Madden to get it to stick, and nothing held. So in the end, Smoky Madden wins at Smoky Mountain. The Kings of Thunder 360s ran their second portion of their weekend show at Kern County out in California, and that went to Shane Golobic over Rico, and Jason Solwald was your top 3. And then moving on to today, they had the late model race at Cherokee in South Carolina, and a lot of the Lucas Oil and Outlaw guys did show up. They had 40 stellar cars, a good field, and the feature just ended actually with Brandon Overton holding off Jonathan Davenport, and Jimmy Owens was in 3rd, and to everyone's favorite modified driver, Stuart Friesen, did come home in 5th. So hats off to Stu, hats off to all the guys that picked up wins this weekend. I know Mark Smith did pick up another 360 win down in Florida last night. Congrats to him as well. And sending out best wishes to Smoky Madden. So Chris wins last night. Woke up this morning utterly ill, had to go to the doctor or hospital, whichever it may be, and was unable to show up at Cherokee today. Hope he gets better and gets back out to competing again shortly. But that, I believe, is all I have for you guys today. We're going to move into an awesome conversation I had at the earlier part of the week with none other than the Wheelman, as Barry Angstack calls him, Timmy Buckwalter. Timmy and I touch on a lot of different things. We go through the whole situation that happened to Timmy last July with the freak accident that happened at Bridgeport, and what it was like going through the rehab process, getting himself back out. The first race he competes in is the Chili Bowl, which is phenomenal. He didn't choose to run something a little bit less of a mainstay in everyone's household, and picked one of the biggest events of the year to make his return to racing. But hope you enjoyed the interview, and we will be back at it next Sunday with a nice recap of Georgetown. I cannot wait. Modifieds are back on Saturday, and that's about it. So I will see you guys in a week from today, but till then, enjoy the show. Now joining the Four Wide Salute podcast this week is one of my friends and one of the most versatile drivers I think you'll see across the country, Mr. Timmy Buckwalter. Timmy, how's it going, buddy?
Good, man. How you doing?
Fantastic. Great to have you on. Wanted to start off with giving you a few names, and then I want to hear, what you have to say about these names.
Okay.
So Sheldon Kinzer, Mike Bliss, James McElrath, Mike Spencer, Mitch Smith, Brian Gerster, Jeff Gordon, and Gordon Johncock. Do you know what that list is?
I didn't know that list until I was on the way back from Florida. And then I realized what that list was.
You're in some great company on that list.
Yeah, it was it made the ride home from Florida a lot easier. We struggled a little bit in the feature, but getting quick times always fun. And, super hard against that competition. And then to read that and hear that we're one of them only guys to set 3 quick times at a track is definitely crazy when you look at some of the names.
Yeah, that's overly.
And I think the latest one was in the 80s or 90s or something. So it's been a while since anything has been set.
Yeah, well, I think Jeff Gordon would have had to have been at least the early 90s, maybe around 90 somewhere in there. So yeah. You're right though. The competition out there today in the non-wing sprint car world is as tough as nails, and everything's so. Chassis are all built the same. Motor programs are kind of all up there. So yeah, it's absolutely tough. And to go to a track that you don't have a lot of seat time at. So it's not even a matter of you doing it in your backyard. You did this in Florida.
Yeah, that's what makes it even more interesting. We kind of got onto something. This last year down there, we didn't get to run. The last race down there, Paul came across something for time trials, and it's definitely lights out, and it doesn't really seem to matter as much when we go out either. We kind of proved that this last time, getting 2 fast times. We were in session 1, and then we went to group 2 and did the same thing again the next night. So kind of says a lot. We have something figured out there for the 2 laps and 40 cars to wear the track in.
So when you're out there for your time trials or even hot laps, and you see where you're picking up time and who's ahead of you and who's not. I mean, when you came off the track after time trials, did you know you put down a good lap?
I'll start off by hot laps. Both nights we went out in hot laps and we were quick time in our group. And then you got to watch down above us. If you're in group 1 or 2 or 3, the track always gets faster in hot laps because it's pretty slimy early. So we were quick. And then you go out for time trials, and they have that board on the backstretch when you go to pull in. And you kind of get excited when you see, I seen the number 7 up there. And I don't know that Courtney went, or maybe he wasn't on the board. So I know it was our 7 that was on top.
Yeah, that's it's a interesting track down there for one. I mean, you were down there with the modified a couple of weeks before that. Did you see any differences from when you were there with the modified to when you brought out the sprint car?
Yeah, the track was definitely different. I'd say, well, maybe it wasn't. I'm not a dirt guy, so I don't really know how the prep tracks or how they do it. But it seemed like when the modifieds were down there, they either had too much water or it took forever to run in. Where when the sprint cars were there, it burned off a lot quicker. Now, I don't know if that's because of the style cars or what, but they definitely prepped it differently.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I think the modifieds were there. That was the first time that the Northeast modifieds were down there. So that could have also contributed to it as well.
Yes.
Well, yeah. You guys didn't have a whole lot in the feature going on, or even the heat races, but just to set quick time across a national series like that, you're still walking away with something, to kind of pat yourself on the back with.
Yeah, and our heat races were good. Like, we showed good speed. Come heat race time still. We just got a little tight in traffic all night, heat in feature. But, the USAC with that 6 invert, you go down there and you start 6 in a heat race and you're in heat 1 and you look at who's next to you, behind you, and in front of you. It's hard to make anything up, I think I heard when I was down there, now correct me if I'm wrong, you might have heard it. Only one guy won last year at USAC sprint car feature, that set quick time. Because the competition's so hard and they put you 6th all night.
Yep.
I'm not complaining about an invert, but the facts are the facts, it just makes it that tough.
Well, and I think USAC across the board, whether it's midgets or whether it's sprint cars, is so competitive, and the talent, whether the guys that are there that have been there the last 5 to 10 years or the new fresh faces and the younger guys that are coming in, it's so tough. And on a week-to-week basis or a night-to-night basis, you really don't know who's going to win.
No, you don't have a clue. It's definitely not like it was, even 5 years ago. It's definitely seems to spread out more on who wins and who doesn't. And the racing's better, I think we're so equal. Like, if you look at the times there throughout the night, everybody, even come feature time, is so equal within, 2-3 tenths of each other. That's what puts on the show and makes it that much harder.
Yeah, I absolutely agree to that. So just to bounce back from last year now to put you in the position of where you were down at Bubba's, you had a hell of a season starting off last year with, and I don't recall the last time I've seen someone start off as hot as you did last year, especially in the modified. You win the Bruce Rogers, you win the All-American 40 down at Bridgeport, and then you win the Georgie Stevenson at Diamond. Where did you see your season heading throughout the rest of the year as far as your program you had together?
I think we were going to head until we could stop. COVID kind of threw everything for a loop last year for everybody. And, we were a one-night team car. That's all the 23X is. And, the COVID deal hit. So we had a couple months there, not necessarily saved up, but didn't spend anything either. We came out hard. And I think key to some of my success, was Norm giving me a new car and letting us build it and put all the candy we wanted on it. Definitely helped. Was huge to get our program where it needed to be and keep it there all year. So I think we were set up to have it there all year, the speed. But it came down to, we were running 2 to 3 nights a week for 2-3 months there. Like, we were a Jeff Strunk and a Dwayne Howard, we were running hard. Like, my guys were in it. We were winning. We were running Friday, Saturday, same car, same operation. And then we were running 3 nights a week. You said the 3 we won, but we went to Susky first.
Yep.
And come from 9th and drove up to 2nd. And I made a little mistake on a restart with a couple to go. And I think we almost had that one with Lobach there. Just to keep the momentum. A lot of this is in the racing world, it's all about momentum. The team was driving, I was driving. We had a lot of momentum. You know, you kind of, I don't want to say you come into the pits cocky by any means. I'm not like that. But when you start running good, you kind of walk into the pits with your head up. You know, you're not worried about speed. You have speed. You're more worried about, you know, what's going on, what's the track doing, what changes am I going to make? You're not looking for it. And we got lucky last year and came out and had that, and then could concentrate on just our own program, not trying to get the program better.
So when you're having success like you were last year to start this season, and then, you know, everyone knows across the board, you know, you have a lot of different rides, you have a lot of different divisions you run. When you see your modified program taken off like it was, did it pull you away from the other cars at any point in time? Like, is your focus shift?
It did. You know, I can't say like I made that decision. I would have to say COVID made that decision a little bit.
Okay.
You know, the speedsters didn't start running yet. We just started there. It was kind of like my focus going into last year was going to be over last winter was modifieds. Like if I go hit a micro show or meet the track with customers, great. But my main focus was to either be or racing at a modified track last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just having that in my mind over the winter and not worrying about other cars that I run as far as managing or staying up on setups and stuff, definitely helped me stay focused and concentrate just on the modifieds. And that's the way it's going to be this year, even though I run for Paul in the sprint car, Barry with the 600. I don't have to worry about that. Like at the end of the day, I get out, tell them what I feel, we discuss it, and then we move on to the next one where I don't have to figure out how to make it better, what to do. We still end up communicating a lot, but you also, I don't have to be 100% focused on that. So everything's on my modified program, which really cleans that up.
Okay. So you basically have a bigger core of people around your micro and your sprint car program that you're more a driver than you are the setup guy.
Yes. Or even, you know, a mechanic. Like I don't even, you know, I don't want to say I don't have to, because that by no means I'm really a hands-on kind of driver.
Yeah.
But Paul has all his guys, you know, all great guys. And, you know, I have no worries that something's loose or anything. Everything's always perfect. And I don't have to necessarily be hands-on and get down and dirty with that end of things. And running with Barry, we've been together for, I think this might be 6 or 7 years. We don't do much to our micro. I mean, we roll our micro package the same way to every track minus change gear and race. So that makes it pretty easy too, you know, for both of us. But the modified end's hands-on. Like I got the 23X Norm's car here at my shop. We do everything from towing the truck and trailer to, you know, putting a gear in it or washing it. We do everything. And then the 51 this year, it's kind of going to be the same thing. I'm going to go down there a couple of days a week and be hands-on on that too.
So how did the deal, I mean, you ran for Norm Saxton now the last couple of years. How did that deal come together for you?
You know, I never really got the 100% story. You know, I'll be honest. I was laying in bed one Sunday morning and I got a text, and it was from Billy Jr. And he says, "Hey, a guy named by the name of Norm Saxon might be looking for a driver. I mentioned your name and gave him your number. He might be contacting you." And then later that day, you know, I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool. Thanks, Bill. Thanks for throwing my name out there." Later that night, Norm gave me a call, and I went down and met with him at his shop. And, you know, he had a little bit of older stuff. He had a very good assortment of stuff, you know, some good, some bad, some needed to go through. But, you know, he trusted me. I went down the next day with a truck and trailer and picked everything up that we needed to go racing and brought it to my shop. And, you know, we had two tough, I don't want to say tough seasons. We got to win at Grandview, which is tough to do any year. Just starting to, weed out the bad stuff, bring in some better stuff, brought in some better sponsors to help Norm afford, I don't want to say better cars, but stay up with the Joneses, keep us competitive for 30 races a year. And then by the end, that was 2 years we did that. Or the end of last year, we said, all right, let's sell everything and go get a brand new Bicknell and get a fresh Morrison motor. And that's what we did. That really helped the program out too.
Well, yeah, and keeping up with the program, that's the key. In any division of racing, you have to be on top of your chassis and your motor programs and everything in between. You have to. So
yeah, I mean, today's world, if you don't have a decent drivable motor and a relationship with your motor builder and a good shock guy or know your own shock program, I don't see you being successful in today's racing world at a competitive, doing it for a living state.
Yeah, there's no argument there. So now you got the 51 this year with Danny Summerling with the Danny's Pizza Pizzazz ride.
Yeah.
And you're going to run Bridgeport on Saturdays.
Yes, we're going to run Bridgeport full time.
Are you a little hesitant?
At Bridgeport?
Yeah.
No, I want to go back out and finish what I think I had started at that place. It's funny. I wasn't sure I was going there last year. Grandview's 12, 15 minutes from me.
Right.
It's hard to almost drive past Grandview being so close for the same money. But Doug told me, you got to come down here, man. I built this place. This is like you. This is your style. This track will fit you, I'm telling you. And I'm like, yeah. We went down there, and he was right, Before I got hurt, I made the switch that's where we were going to run. As far as being hesitant, I won't be hesitant because I wrecked there. We're just going to go and try to get familiar with the 51 team and get the program where we need it and try to win a championship.
Yeah, and I think they have a lot of notes too. I mean, that car ran there all last year as well. So they have, more seat time, if you will, at the new 410s as opposed to what, the limited amount you got in last year.
Yeah, definitely. And they had good success, which is a little different situation getting into a modified team for me than it is like with Norm. They ran good all there last year. So, I got some tough shoes to fill there with Richie. He's a hell of a driver, and, it's going to be challenging. By no means is it ever easy, and we're up for it.
That's good. And what you did down there with the All-American 40, it already shows that you know how to get around the place. You know how to get around the place faster than the other guys that are out there at the same time. So I don't doubt that you won't succeed down there or, get to the front. I don't doubt that at all. Now, going back to, that night last year, do you remember all of what happened?
I remember, you're only as good as your last race. I was told that years ago going into this deal, doing it for a living. So, I don't want to say you forget your wins, but, I try not to remember every little thing about a race that happened this week. Mm-hmm. I try to concentrate on what's going on, but yeah, I remember most of the night.
Yeah, it was, I wasn't there. I was at Port Royal actually. And I think Merck called me and he's like, dude, there's some bad thing just happened at Bridgeport. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, there's cars everywhere. And, there's that little bit of footage that was out there in social media, and holy hell, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. And, I
was lucky enough. I say I was lucky enough. I was in the beginning of the wreck.
True.
So the carnage that went on, clearly I got part of it, but I wasn't in the middle part of it.
Right.
I got struck by Buffalino's car is what did damage to my car as he was helicoptering off the wall. So I got out of it pretty early. As far as car damage, I had none. My car, I would have continued racing there. Minus the power steering line, axle a little bent,
Right.
and the body destroyed. But I do remember one thing about the night, and it was, I believe there was still, I don't know, 8-10 laps. There was still a lot of time to get something going. And I was a little off. I wasn't as good as I've been down there. But something came to me, like my car came. I think we were restarting 6 there. And I do remember before that restart and that wreck saying to myself, I think we got a shot at this thing. I didn't think that the whole race.
Mm-hmm.
But coming down to the end, we had that double file restart. And I'm restarting 6. I'm thinking, I got a shot at this. These guys aren't getting away now. And my car's coming to me.
Wow. Yeah. And I think the thing of it, didn't something come off of Buffalino's car that hit your leg?
I mean, I don't know if there was much bolted onto Buffalino's car after. Yeah, there was a lot of things that came off and went somewhere. There was a good rumor that the front axle got me.
Which is all like a freak thing. I mean, anyone knows the openings that you guys crawl in and out of into your seat. They aren't that big.
No, the panels that got destroyed were right at the shifter and clutch levers.
Mm-hmm.
They were bent clear down onto my leg. There was no way the axle came into that compartment. I would say maybe frame rail, tie rod, something along that line came in.
Yeah.
His axle might have destroyed my body a lot, but his axle definitely did not come in the car to get me because, his axle was still sitting there with the hugs and stuff, and the opening that it came through, it would have never fit.
Yeah, and that's so big of a piece. Yeah. There's no way. We've seen it happen. I remember Spencer Basin in the wing car at Grandview the other year. A pack of mud flew off the boilerplate, hit the side of the car, and broke his leg.
And at the end of the day, chunks were flying.
Yeah.
I wouldn't doubt that it could have been a big hunk of mud and it bent the shifters and slammed my leg over. 100%. Yep.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I could agree.
It's just one of them freak things. I mean,
yeah, totally freak. And everything we run, not as, you don't really think about wrecking or getting injured. But, you would think out of, sprint cars, midgets, micros, speedsters, and modifieds, what I run.
Yeah.
Modified's the last thing, but
right.
You never know. You can't take anything for granted. It's kind of what
You're
my
exactly
situation
right.
to anybody if I could share anything to help anybody, you can't take anything for granted.
Yeah. And along those lines, I would not be satisfied if I did not bring this up. You actually scared the living shit out of me at Grandview Eastern Storm in 2019.
Oh yeah.
You scared I had never been that scared at the racetrack in my life. And I had actually just watched you the full maybe lap and a half before that. And I saw it from beginning to end. And I had to be pale in the face. That was wild.
That was a good one, man. And usually the good ones like that are done by yourself. And it was 100% my fault. Came off the turn 4 there, caught the wall with the right rear, and once the right front, it was game over. And it just started going. And I got really lucky on that one. All my safety stuff was 100% right. And to this day, I won't switch off of the safety stuff I have because of that. New stuff comes out every year, but when you take one like that, you can just walk it off. It's tough to change anything, down to how you mount your seat and everything. You really try to follow in, stick to your gun there on that stuff. That one went for a while, man. I do remember in that one, wondering when it was going to stop. That's one of them flips that you're like, oh,
yeah.
Okay, it can stop any time now.
Right, right. So, Now, for all the people that are listening, I know this is a common question that comes up, and I'm not sure anyone gets a clear understanding of what goes on in your position. So now that you remember that happening, what are you taught, or what do most do in this situation when you know you're going to go over? Like, do you do something different with your arms, or, you tuck your chin, those kinds of things? Like, what are you supposed to do?
I mean, for me, you guys would have to put a GoPro on and hopefully catch the right scene. I don't really know. Everybody's told to hold a wheel this way or that way. I think every driver does whatever they're comfortable with.
Okay.
When you do what we do, and you're on the edge every lap, trying to get the max out of it. Your tendencies of what you're supposed to do and what you actually are doing are never on the same line.
Heat of the moment decision kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I was always taught from my dad as a kid to never let go of the steering wheel.
Okay.
I've heard things, you cross your arms, grab your helmet. I just try to treat it like I'm at, Donny Park or Six Flags and hold on, and and you don't want to put your hands up and say this is a fun ride,
No. I can't imagine anyone's going, wee.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, anybody that has time to do something is better than I am. When that's happening, your first instance, I don't know if I talk crow, I pretty much just hold on.
Gotcha.
Try to hold on to the steering wheel, and hopefully you had everything right on as far as your safety and you don't move around much.
Yeah, I was just curious because, and like I said, I've heard, people are going to talk and going to offer up their opinions, and I've heard different things, grab your belts, something like that. And I was just curious on, now that, you have a little bit of a experience with those kinds of things, I figured I would just, pick your brain and see what you went through. So let's get rid of the bad things that have happened over the last few years. Let's go back. So, what do you consider your starting in racing? I mean, I'm going to say you were probably in quarter midgets.
Oh yeah.
With your involvement down there now, and, your shock program, and you do a lot for these kids that are coming up through. Did someone help you out the way you help kids out now?
I mean, in this racing world, you always have a lot of helpers and a lot of people that will lend a hand. I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, to start my racing career, my biggest help and support was going to have to be my parents. My dad, as many know, raced modifieds and micros and stuff as a kid. And I think I was 7 years old, and my dad's buddy said, "Hey, you gonna let Tim race?" I goes, "Yeah, if he wants to." He goes, "Well, let's take him down here to Phoenixville and see if he wants to. I got the car." And guy by the name of Howard, and we went down, and I liked it. And my first 2 years of quarter midget racing, my dad still raced, so his buddies took me racing. He might come on a Sunday if I ran, or on a Friday or something, or a Wednesday night at Phoenixville. But during the week, he was either having to get his modified ready, or definitely was going down to Bridgeport at that time to run. So Saturday nights, I would go with somebody else, and then when it was somewhere, a year and a half, 2 years into it, Dad quit. He retired, he sold everything, and said, "All right, now we're going to go quarter midget racing." And Dad actually started a business. Him and Fellini started a quarter midget business. So as a kid, from I would say 9 or 10 till I was 17 and got out of quarter midgets, I raced all over the country for my dad, because it was his business, and he was selling parts and engines and chassis and all kinds of stuff.
So were you like the kid to beat in the quarter midget world?
I mean, I wouldn't say I was the kid to beat. I mean, I would say we were very competitive.
Okay.
We won our share of big races and nationals. We were, one thing we did more, I would say, than most kids in my time of quarter midget racing now, is bounced around a lot more.
Okay.
I never was just an asphalt or just a dirt guy. That's actually a lie. My last year in quarter midgets, I was strictly asphalt. But all the way up, Dad would run me 2 nights on asphalt, 2 nights on dirt in the same week, no problem. So it didn't matter if we were traveling or running local. If there was a race and we went to it, we didn't care if it was dirt or pavement.
Oh wow!
Which back then and even today, a lot of guys still, we run dirt, we don't run pavement, or we run pavement, we don't go and run dirt.
Right.
That was one thing I do remember and know Dad did with me. Definitely would run whenever and wherever. It didn't matter. Whether it was the parking lot or a stone lot or sand or dirt, we were on it.
And you know what? And sometimes that's the attitude you have to have, though, too.
Yeah.
There's guys out there today that are like that. Oh, I don't want to run that track. I don't want to run that big track. I'd rather run a smaller one. It's like, if you're going to race.
Yeah. And without my parents, I would have never got the seat time I did as a kid and never got to learn how to bounce back and forth all in the same week. The key why I think I can jump back and forth in and out of cars, like Kutztown night to night, same track, 2 different cars, or run a non-wing 410 and then jump in a modified and still be decent. Is because since I was little, I was going from dirt to asphalt back and forth, in the same week. So that really helps in the long run, I think.
That's interesting. You brought that up about, like Kutztown. Every week you're running 2 different divisions. Does that get hectic after a while? I mean, I know they don't try and put you in the first heat of, say, speedsters in the last heat of the 600, so you're not double back in there, and they give you a little bit of time to switch over. But does that get hectic?
They will double back us. But one thing they do is they'll wait for you. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I don't even say they wait, because after the 600 or after the speedster feature, I barely get a order and make sure I got enough taro. So I'm, and I don't. I gotta have my wife or Cheryl or Harry or one of my buddies like, oh, grab me a couple more tear-offs, while I'm getting in. It doesn't wear you out. I'll tell you where it wears you out. Heat races, when either both your cars are slow or both of them are wrecked. That'll wear you out real quick. Knock on wood, that's only happened to us a couple times throughout the years we've been doing it. But there are the nights when you're on the way home, even if you could tear up 2 cars and then still run first and fifth or have a decent night out of it, you're on the way home going, why do I do this? You know what I mean? It's like a bad day at work, even though you still got your pay, but it was a bad day at work.
I mean, the funny thing about it is, if you want to look at it in this perspective, and maybe you will, this is great. I always say, like you and Billy Jr. are the 2 that they're always waiting for you, because most times you guys are finishing podium in the speedsters, right? And then everyone's already out on the track, and then here come you 2 guys. And I always say it's like the last entrant to the Royal Rumble has to make their grand appearance. You guys aren't coming out in line with everyone else. No, you get your own separate entrance, which it just cracks me up.
Yeah.
So you have to give like a wave next time you do that.
Yeah. Well, when I pull on in the 600 for the feature, I'll wave down the home stretch to everybody.
So speaking of waving, get a little off topic here, but I remember you winning the midget heat at Lanco, and you knew we were all sitting up on the drunk tank.
Yeah.
And you went over and gave your little like hometown salute thing. How great was that to win that heat race in front of, your hometown crowd?
What I got the most out of that was I could hear the yelling before I even pulled up there to give the salute. That was the key. Like, you guys were already hooting and hollering. As the yellow come out there, the checker come out, I come around the next lap and I go to pull up high and crack my shield. And I already heard you guys yelling before the salute. But as I drive away, they're still hooting and hollering. And I'm thinking, man, USAC has no clue what just happened and who's down there.
Uh-huh.
So that was definitely a very cool opportunity and something cool to do, that catch you guys on the right day. I think there might have been a rain out and stuff, so everybody was there. The place was packed.
Oh, it was, I think, in comparison, that was the most packed it's been over the last couple of years. I can't imagine it's been any more than it was that night. Yeah, that was crazy.
That was good.
So, all right. So going back to, you're at the end of your quarter midget career now, you got to move on to bigger and better things. Are you already lining up rides for different divisions at that point? Or are you still contemplating doing different things?
Well, I ran quarter midgets full time there until I was 17 because it was my dad's business. So until I couldn't run anymore, Dad was going to have a car there and promote his product.
Right.
So I ran them forever. But one thing that is really cool about the situation is about when I was 14, I think I was 14. I'm going to say 14. A guy by the name of Bob Rexroad, family friend, owned some micros, said, "Hey, Rick," which is my dad, "Hey, you want to let Tim try out a micro?" We were a little hesitant, parent-wise, but Dad's like, "Yeah, let's do it. Where can we go?" And we went up to Greenwood Valley, and we got approved. We got the run. So I started playing around when I was 14 in a 270. For a year or two, still quarter midget racing. That was the priority, but I got to play around a little bit, and that was Bob Rexroad. And then my dad gave me after we got out of quarter midgets, we ended up with Steve's old 270 car, and we ran that for a couple years.
Cool.
And then, my first, I want to say full-time, big time, let's go race 80 races a year if we can, would have been Gary and Donna Spots in the 600s. I was still running around in the 270s and stuff, and I got the opportunity to run for them, and I ran for Gary Spots for 5 years, full time. Like, it was like a dream come true. A kid's age of, I don't know if I was 18, 19. It was like a dream come true there to have 3 cars, run 3 nights a week in a 600 scene around here. So seat time for me, people look at my schedule and see 100 races and they're like, "I don't know how you do it," but I've been doing it since I was 7. If I only have 50 on my schedule, I'd get bored.
So now, every year you're running, it seems like more and more and more, to be honest. And, you still have your business. How do you deviate your time? Because you can't leave your customers waiting because you need to go out and race. But then again, you also can't tell your car owners, we can't run this night or this night or this night because, I got to work. So how do you deviate your business?
Well, it comes down to good guys. I got 3 dedicated guys for, I'm going to say, we're close to 15 years together, 3 of my guys.
Okay.
Buck, Monkey, and Rob. And, they're at my shop every day when they're done work, hanging out, whether they're just shooting shit or doing something, whether we're racing or not. Without guys like that and having good teams, I could never do it. My schedule's no busier. This year it is actually a little busier, being I got the 51 deal and we're doing daily races. That added, maybe 15. But for the last 8-9 years, it's been, no less than 75. But, races on the schedule to start, come January when we try to make our schedule. You might not get that many in, of course, because of rainouts and whatever, but that's what you write down. It's been that way. You kind of just juggle it as I don't sleep much, and all I do is this 24/7, 7 days a week. I get into my shop at 9-10 o'clock. Everybody calls me a banker. But I wake up in the morning, I spend a little bit of time with my kid. He either stays home with mom, maybe comes to the shop and hangs out for a couple hours after that, or he goes to the grandparents. So, but I'm at my shop till 9, 10 o'clock. Personally, I might quit and then got to spend a couple hours at night on my own stuff in the back room.
Right.
So the way I juggle it is just do it. Business wise, this year I got backed up. I am backed up, super backed up. This might be the first year in 7 years of being in business that people might not get their stuff on time. I don't want to say that. I'm here working on stuff as we're talking. But with injury, I don't want to blame my knee, but that kind of threw me off a loop. And I was in the middle of building a new, me and Amanda and my son we're building a house and a new shop.
Oh, nice.
And we're looking to hire people and try to get a little more organized and, more customer friendly and have more stuff going on for business wise. And it all kind of got put on a hold this year with the COVID, and our builder got hurt and Amanda losing her dad. And it was just kind of a crazy situation this year. Then I got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So this winter's been crazy. I am definitely backed up on shocks right now for sure. I got a guy in here helping me, and we're going to get them done for everybody. That's just the way we do it. Whether we got to work around the clock or whatever we got to do, we'll figure it out and get it done for the racer.
Yeah. What's interesting is guys like you, and I'll always, bring up Billy, because Billy Jr. is the same way. He's got rides through that could last him a lifetime. But both of you, amongst your racing schedule and your work schedule, seem to be like the Energizer bunnies, and you guys don't stop, you don't sleep, and you can multitask like no one else I've ever known.
When it comes to not sleeping, I don't know. I'm not going to speak for Billy, but I'll speak for myself. I will guarantee myself no less than 5 hours.
Okay.
I will not operate. Not that you can't, but you get sloppy.
No, I know.
And I won't get sloppy. I'm 100% kind of guy. So I do get sleep. I sleep from
I mean, in the sense of like no naps, and like, I'm not saying you're never sleeping, but it's a metaphor. You guys are just working a lot, and you race a lot, and you manage to get everything done.
It comes down to the team thing again, man. I got, Amanda won't be afraid to bring dinner down to the shop. So you don't have to stop. Right. The only downfall, and it's not a downfall at all, is you kind of, I got to make time for the son. Yes. I don't get to see a 3-year-old or a 2-year-old. So there's days that I do shut the phone off and say enough's enough. I went, this winter was a little crazy with traveling and trying to get back into shape for race season, going to Florida twice, and then Chili Bowl. I took a vacation there the second time to Florida with my family, and turned the phone off and said, enough's enough. We're going to have 4 days of dating time here, because I won't get to see him at 3.5 as he is now again. So I can't miss them opportunities either.
And that's the perfect time for it. That was the perfect time for it.
Oh, absolutely. And
you weren't going to leave, come back home, fly back down, fly back again. Like, you had a couple of days in between modifieds and USAC. It made no sense.
And he's involved in it just as much as I am. You know what I mean? I mean, from when he was born till now, he's eats, sleeps, breathes it like Dad does, and comes to the shop in the mornings. Every night he comes to my shop. We're hanging out. I'll be tearing shit up every night, so you still get to see the time, but it's a juggling factor. And the one thing I tell people is I live the dream because I don't wake up. If you wake up, it's a nightmare. You just keep living the dream,
right?
You can't think of anything different. It's a way of life. That's the only thing I can explain it.
Yeah, I had to laugh. We were up at Lehigh Valley Grand Prix on Saturday for your event, which I thought was great, by the way. It was a pleasure to be there. But watching Aiden walk around with your helmet on was hilarious because those helmets are not light by the imagination. And
No.
he's walking around and not even just fully on his head. No, he had it like balancing, like you guys do when you get out of the car. He had it balancing on his head. And I'm watching him like, how is this kid not staggering right now?
Well, he's got a lot of practice. He has one of my older helmets at home. He has to have his own. So I gave him one of my older ones. So, he gets on his bike and he's down playing race cars. He puts an old helmet on. Way too big, and it's been that way for a while. So he's got it down. As long as if I can get him to unstrap it, we'd be in good shape. He knows how to strap them, but the unstrapping part, we're still working on.
Yeah, that was pretty cool to see that. Yeah, he's getting big, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be too long, so he's going to be taller than you. But
that's okay. That's okay. That means he'll have a good golf swing.
Yes,
you don't have to become a racer; you can golf.
Yeah. That's I can't imagine. Yeah. Buckwalter, the golfer. That makes sense.
Yeah, it'll be good.
So, you brought up, getting in shape for the racing season. So, you had a lot of time off last year, obviously. And, it was awesome seeing you back at the Chili Bowl. I thought that was the greatest stage you could have had your comeback at, to be honest. May the A of your qualifier night. How physically exhausting was that?
It was definitely exhausting, it's more mentally in a race car than it is physically.
Okay.
To be honest, I feel, everybody has their own different feel and way they do things, but, as long as your head's in the game, like dumb things, like I think the feature we went, 16, 17 laps there, no caution. I'm not going to say I wasn't wounded, but I think I was wounded because I forgot to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like mentally, you got to remind yourself, yo, dude, get a hold of it here, start breathing. And I don't think I did that. And that's when I knew I wasn't mentally in shape yet.
Okay.
I've been working on that, talked to a couple different people that do, not even involved in racing, but, maybe mountain biking and other forms of sports that they run into the same problem.
Fatigue.
Yeah, but it was awesome just to, I sat in a couple cars before I went to the Chili Bowl to make sure my knee felt okay. Sat in my own car for an hour.
Oh, of course.
Working the paddle, just making sure before I went there and wasted somebody's time and get there and say, I can't do this.
A little bit of iRacing.
Yeah, a lot of iRacing. That definitely got the leg pumping going.
I've heard about that.
I'm still really bad at it, but it at least is a good time.
That's what Glennie said.
Yeah. So, and I go there and we go out there for hot laps. And there's nothing like rolling down the ramp at the Chili Bowl to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
But then to roll down after, being a race car driver and having 7 months off, rolling down that ramp and knocking in gear to start, that was like, almost enough to bring tears to my eyes. Like, hey, you're back, and then to run good that first time back on our preliminary night, that was, a lot of this game's luck. And I think our luck and pill draw and positioning ourselves right had everything to do with that, but it all worked out perfect.
Oh yeah. Pill draw at the Chili Bowl is, yeah, that's the first obstacle you have to get over is the pill draw.
Yeah.
So, I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway, because I know a lot of people don't know the answer to this question. So not sure if you're aware, but I'm pretty sure every year that you run the Chili Bowl, and so does Stevie, they like to call you each other's name. So what exactly is your relation to Steve, and if there is even one to Bruce?
So any of the Buckwalters that race today were all cousins, and then Steve's kids run quarter midgets.
Okay.
So we're all cousins.
Okay.
Dads are all brothers. Everything's, at the end of the day, I get that at least once, twice a week. Hey, your brother ran pretty good at Williams Grove last night.
I hear it all the time.
I don't even correct people anymore. I just, yeah, he was good. He was good. over time, I'm not going to say I got tired of it, but I get it so much that we're brothers. Mainly with Steve because he does, he races for a living like I do. So it's kind of, we run a lot. Well, Bruce, BJ, he doesn't run as much, but he's a cousin too, and you get the same thing. Hey, your brother Bruce, he was pretty good last night there. I'm like, yeah, you just agree with it. But at the end of the day, we are all cousins, and Steve's kids are the only ones that race.
Yeah. Well, now you got Bruce to deal with the USAC 360 deal.
Yep. He's going to do the full 360 deal, and then I guess Steve's going to do the sprint car 410 and some midget stuff.
Yep.
And then his daughter and son are going to run a good bit of quarter midget stuff this year.
Have you ever had aspirations to run a wing car?
I did, and I got a chance to. It was 2 years ago. I ran a 360 car for Bob Lillick at Georgetown.
Okay.
I had an awesome time. I just never went that route. I never did it a lot with the 600 stuff. We did it a lot in the beginning, and then when they took the wings off, I really liked it. And then I went to the midget deal. And with Dad being a stock car guy in Grandview and Big Diamond so close and pay about the same as sprint car racing, that's just the route I chose. I wouldn't be opposed to it. Definitely doing some sprint car stuff in the future, winged. But, right now my focus is open wheel or stock car.
Cool.
Like the non-wing stuff.
Yep. Yeah, you have you definitely have a nice full, I think evenly spread schedule coming up this year, and I think we can already see that you're getting back to where you were last year, before everything happened. But as we wind down here, so you already got yourself off to making your name notable down at Bubba's, with the non-wing stuff. So what exactly are your goals for this year?
I'm not a guy that really sets goals. I mean, my goal is to go win races. I don't care if I'm running racing you at Lehigh Grand Prix. I mean, at the end of the day, my goal is to go win races. I would have to say if I had to make a goal, my goal would be, definitely try to contend for the 51 championship there at Bridgeport.
Okay.
And on the same aspect, this is going to be one of the first years I ran a modified that I'm going to run a modified at 2 tracks for championships. So I can't say I would love to have Diamond as well. So to set a goal, I would say we got to, try for championships on Friday and Saturday night. I don't want to say I want to be third in points. I don't want to say I'd be mad at that, but I don't want to say we're going to go win 2 championships, but that's our goal, is to go be a contender in 2 championships in the modifieds on Friday and Saturday night.
Yeah, I mean, and I just ask, being that, you were out of the car for 6 months and you did go through the rehab you did, and you are in a new modified ride this year. I just thought, guys can always, my goal is to win, the 76er this year. Like a lot of guys are going to say that every year, but on a realistic basis, I mean, you have a lot of opportunities this year. You are on your comeback tour, whether, people look at it that way or not. But I think realistically, running for a championship in both modifieds at 2 different tracks, I think it's a realistic goal, and it's going to be hella hard on a Friday night. The class of guys we have coming in on Friday night this year is ridiculous, and it's going to be great to have you back for sure.
You know what I like? I never really ran Diamond last my very first year in a modified full time. And the thing with Diamond is, they're around here, us Pennsylvania guys in Jersey. There's only one track that runs Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
So you go to Diamond, you get 30, 40 cars, whatever show up.
Right.
They are good cars because it's the only place run. We're not saying Grandview or Bridgeport or New Egypt don't get them on Saturdays, but they're divided.
Right.
You got 3 here, 3 here, 3 here. Where on Friday night, you're getting all 9 of them.
Right. Right.
At one track. So, yeah, I think Diamond's a very challenging track in general. And then the competition level, especially this year, and even last year, you've seen it.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely, I would have to say it's ranked up, if not the hardest, second hardest Northeast modified track here to run for a championship, for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting this year. It is.
And no breaks this year.
No.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Every week.
Pretty much. It's going to be interesting. Are you I take it you're planning to run the wingless car with the 410s when they come in. Are you planning to do any 360 wingless stuff this year?
There was a couple opportunities. I'm not going to say they're not going to happen, but right now I don't want to spread myself thin.
Right.
So I don't have anything written in any of my schedules for 360 shows.
Yeah.
We will run a 410 show there with the non-wing. We plan on, as far as sprint car stuff, the only thing I have planned is the Eastern Storms.
So you don't have like SmackDown or nothing like that on your schedule yet?
We are 100% just Eastern Storms. Other than that, that's about all that's open with doing Deo and Bridgeport and Diamond to not miss a weekend.
Right.
So I had to kind of commit to Norm and Danny, which was 100% fine. But to commit to that Friday, Saturday deal eliminates being able to go to a SmackDown or, Indiana Speed Week. So we're just going to concentrate on Eastern Storms and see what happens. And we actually missed one of the Eastern Storm deal there. I think it's Susky. We don't go Saturday to Susky because we'll be at Bridgeport with the modified. Oh,
yeah, that's right. Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know what? Hey, at least you have everything lined up. You know what you're doing. It's, it's not a matter, you're not running for USAC points or nothing like that. So it's not going to put you in a tight spot or nothing like that.
We're doing that for fun because Paul Latier's one of my best friends,
Right.
Tough guy every day. So, and he enjoys it and I enjoy it. He has a group of guys that are awesome to work with and, we're all friends. So it's fun to go out and, set quick time and then be horrible in the feature wasn't a bad deal because we still had fun and walked away smiling. I have no pressure there. You go get in some of these rides, you set quick time, you could be fired because you sucked in the features. Well, you don't have that pressure with Paul, so it makes that fun, more enjoyable. I have that pressure every modified race. So to go to a sprint car race and not have that or to a micro race with Barry Greth is awesome.
Do you have any plans to run the ARDC midgets at all?
No.
Yeah, I saw that they're back on the schedule and they have.
Yeah.
And it's good to see.
9 shows or 14 shows. They got a good bit. And, I don't have any midget stuff. And if Seymour plan on coming in or something, we might throw it in there when they're at Diamond or something. Cool. No problem. But I don't really have anything written in stone.
Okay. Good. Yeah. Well, I'll let you get back to work. I know you're a very busy man. But I do appreciate you coming on the show, man.
I appreciate having me, man. And hopefully this deal takes off for you, and I can't wait to listen.
I appreciate it. Anybody you want to give any thanks or shout outs to before we cut loose?
Yeah, man, just everybody that is involved, the whole Team 51. And Norm Saxon with the 23X, and Barry and Cheryl Greth with the 71 Micro, and Earl Fellon with my Speedster. Without them guys, I wouldn't have a killer race schedule. So just got to thank them and all my product sponsors and primary sponsors that come aboard. Check them out on my Facebook page or on the car, and look them up if they can help you in any way or they serve your needs.
All right, man. I once again appreciate your time. Send my hellos to Amanda and Aiden, and I guess I'll catch you in a week and a half down at Georgetown.
Yeah. I'll see you down at Georgetown on. You're only coming Saturday, so I'll see you Saturday.
All right, man. I'll catch you. I'll catch up with you later. Take care, man.